Sean, for having me.
It's such a big decision to run for the biggest office in the world. Why do you want to be president?
I think our nation is at a pivotal point. I think ours was intended to be a citizen government. I have lived the American dream. I started as a secretary, became the chief executive of the largest technology company in the world, and am now running for president, and I truly worry that my two granddaughters and all of our grandsons won't have the same opportunity. We are literally crushing the potential of this nation. We are doing so with a federal government that is bloated, bureaucratic, corrupt, and inept. And like 80% of the American people, I think we have a professional political class that is more focused on the preservation of its own power, title, and position than on doing what needs to be done now.
It's interesting you say professional political class, because you're not just saying Democrats. My biggest disappointment right now is in the Republican Party, in Congress in particular. They promised they would repeal and replace Obamacare. They voted 50 times symbolically, but when it came to standing up, Ted Cruz stood alone. They didn't join him because they didn't want to use the power of the purse and get blamed for a shutdown. Same with executive amnesty. Do you share that frustration that a lot of conservatives have?
I do. And in fact, I see and hear and feel that frustration in places like Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina and elsewhere all the time. People say, you know, we invested a lot of time and money in electing Republicans in a landslide in November 2014, and what has really changed? If you even go back further, let's face it, every agency in the federal government has gotten bigger and bigger for over 40 years, Republicans and Democrats alike. How long has the Veterans Administration been a scandal? How long has the legal immigration system been broken? How many times have we seen examples of just sheer ineptitude? These are things that have gone on for a long time, and I think what people know in their bones is that the only way you can change that is to have someone who has the courage to challenge the status quo.
We're going to spend a lot of time and go into great detail on your economic plan, foreign policy issues. I want to start with what I think has separated you from some of your colleagues, and that is a willingness to be very forceful and outspoken against Hillary Clinton. I have, for example, a tape of you saying that you're going to answer any and all questions from the media, unlike Hillary Clinton. Let's play that.
And anyone who has sat through these avails over many months knows that I will take any question on any subject, and the vast majority of my speeches in front of anyone are about a host of issues that are important to the American people, whether it's getting small businesses going and growing again, whether it's disentangling people's lives from webs of dependence, whether it's about actually cutting our bloated federal government down to size, or whether it's about what we need to do to push back on Vladimir Putin and ISIS. I think that the Republican Party needs a nominee who will ask these questions on a general debate stage. I hope the media will continue to ask these questions. I hope you're all very interested in asking me questions, and I appreciate very much the opportunity to answer your questions. I hope you will continue to be as aggressive with Mrs. Clinton wherever she is on this street corner. But yes, I think we need a nominee who will ask her these questions about trustworthiness, about transparency, and about track record.
Hillary won't talk to the media. You're calling her out on it. And more importantly, this poll, numerous polls now that have come out, a vast majority, 57% do not find her honest and trustworthy. Do you think she's honest and trustworthy?
No, I don't. And I think she's demonstrated that. There are just so many questions that remain unanswered. It's entirely legitimate to question all of these things about Hillary Clinton. I also think it's far more productive for me, as a candidate for the Republican primary, to be training my fire on Hillary Clinton than to be training my fire on other Republican candidates.
But you know that's coming, right? There'll be a little fire back and forth, intramural squabbling.
Well, some candidates are training all their fire on each other, and I think that's unfortunate, actually.
Do you think maybe other candidates are timid to go after Hillary as hard as you have, because she's a woman? And I ask you that through, if you look at it through this prism. Rick Lazio walked during a debate and handed Hillary Clinton a piece of paper, and you would have thought at the time it was the worst thing that any man could ever do. And then, of course, Mitt Romney was accused of a war on women because he had a binder of women's resumes. Do you think there's a certain fear, a certain level of timidity on the part of other Republicans?
Well, I hope not. And just to reassure people that the left is an equal opportunity opposer, I have been called a threat to women's health because I'm pro-life. My candidacy has been called an offense to women because I don't agree with the litany of the left. And it's why I gave a speech recently talking about women in America and saying, you know, we as conservatives have to take this conversation back. We cannot continue to allow women, who are 54% of voters now, we're the majority of the nation, we can't just give up on the women's vote. We have to talk directly to women about why our principles work better.
Isn't it amazing the names you've been called? I see this often with black conservatives. They're called every name in the book, and yet there's such a fragile sensibility on the left. If anything